Good afternoon, everyone. My name is DJ April Showers of Joliet, Illinois, and I have Mr. Anthony Terrell, a citizen and resident of Joliet, Illinois. And today we're just going to be talking about the state of Black America. And so, Mr. Terrell, I really appreciate you coming on to do this interview. Would you give people a brief description about yourself or a little bio?
Yeah, I'm a father of four. Um, I spent time in the military.
What branch did you serve in?
I was in the Army
Okay.
for 2 years. I've seen a lot, done a lot, and came back home because I didn't want to die in someone else's country. So I came back to Joliet because that's where my family moved to, but I'm from New York City. I've been here since I was 13, though, so I guess Joliet is my second home.
Okay. So, what are what is your feelings on the state of Black America at this point? How do you feel? Um, what do you think things should be done or be put in place that you feel would be effective in helping the state of Black America?
You see, I guess I look at things a little differently because I've been all over the world and I've met different people and I've seen how they live, and they've never been to America, so they don't know how we live. But everything that we are taught is about this place being the greatest place ever. We're not the greatest place ever. We got the most money, but as far as culture, life, and other things, you see, if you once you leave your surroundings, move to different areas, find out real quick that everything you were taught and told was a lie. But you still support and move forward because you're providing for your family.
So, what are the things that we have been told that are lies?
First of all, first thing they lied to you about is saying slavery ended. Slavery has never ended. They still supplement the slave owners for the slave owners releasing us. All they did was subsidize farmers. That's subsidizing slave owners. We were owned by slaves. We were slaves and owned by farmers. So they just changed the title from master to slave, to farmers. So we're still slaves. They get subsidized every year for their slaves that they lost. That when you move from a society that's agricultural because of the invention of cotton gin, you can move forward and move your slaves to the area of the country, which is the manufacturing sector. That's why we moved north, because that's where all the plants were, and steel mills and auto plants, and everything that they were trying to build this country with. So they just moved us to these cities. See, they didn't give us a choice but to move to the cities because you had to get off of these people's land and move. So the only place you could move back then was north to support your family. That slavery not ending is based on the 13th Amendment, which is the amendment that freed us, but they put a stipulation in it. They said that if you are arrested, you go back to being a slave of the state. Those words are still in there. So that means that if slavery ended, why would they say that if you go to the penitentiary or to any local jail, you are a slave? That's how slavery has not ended, because when 5.5% of the population, which are black men, and I'm just going to speak on black men because we're 70 to 90% of the prison population in every state in the union, which the sheer number of people in America we cannot possibly just naturally through the course of the course of a life be the primary focus that are being incarcerated. That everything that they did and are doing has always been done to us. Beatings, killings, chokings, lynchings. All of these things aren't new. We're just watching it on video now. That this has been going on the whole time. When someone tells you they want to make something great again, they're not talking about the people that the Constitution wasn't written for. They didn't write this Constitution for black people. This Constitution was written by white, rich elites, men, white. And they only were talking about themselves as men, as the people. We the people was just them. They were slave owners. They didn't count us as, they counted us as a property. We were owned by them. That's why George Washington had 120 slaves. That's why Jefferson could have 380 slaves. That Jefferson was so cold, he married 2 women. He had a white woman and a black woman that had his children. So he has 2 sectors of family. This is common ground. That's how we get that's how our complexions change, because they introduced their DNA into our women. That we being the dominant gene, recreate light-skinned black people, not white children. So even though the father is white, when the child came out, the child always is considered a black child. That the whole slave thing, no one wants to accept that they're slaves. But what just happened since January? Haven't we been told to shutter in place? Those are just words to be politically correct. That you found out what jail was like. That when I say we've never come out of slavery, they showed the whole world that they can shut it down and make people shutter in place. So they are showing you their power. They're showing you that they don't care. We can talk till we're blue in the face, but we will never be free in their minds. We have to free our minds and come together as people. You see, I don't say Black Americans. I don't say white Americans. I don't say Indian Americans. I don't say that. That's the titles that they gave us. Them giving us these titles is to separate the masses. How do you control people? You separate them by differences. So even if their best interest is to come together, they can't come together because they are on opposite sides. So even if you got 200 people, 100 on each side, that there, no matter how many like-minded people are in the 200, they have to stay on their side and fight that battle, whatever the agenda is of the side. The agenda is always different. You can't tell people that there's only two sides to a story. That hell, someone listening to me, they're gonna have their own opinion on what I'm saying. They're gonna interject their words in to fill their strengths. That our destruction of ourselves as people has been based on self-loathing, self-hate. So we kill each other. They kill us for fun and justification, law and order. Do you realize that there were no laws until they released the slaves? They didn't have stoplights. They had it was just lawlessness across. They had marshals and all those different things, but policing came out of the slave trade. That they were overseers. Overseers are officers. So it was a natural progression for them to go straight into policing. Policing is controlling the masses. So when you bring your slaves out of an agricultural state, you have to have a police force ready to keep them in the neighborhoods that you send them to. Oh, remember we couldn't come on the west side of Joliet as kids? We had all the grocery stores on the east side. If you went over to the west side, you better be back over here by the time the lights went out. That the opening up the malls and stuff like that were where we were allowed out of our neighborhoods. But predatory lending practices kept us blackballed out of certain neighborhoods because us moving into neighborhoods devalued the property, and white people wanting to run away from us because why are they still here? That's their mentality. Is you release them, so why are they still here? That's their mentality. So I gotta leave my town because these black people are tearing it up. They devalue my property. No, they didn't devalue your property. Your property was devalued by the people that wanted your property, wanted these lands in these cities. Look at the east side of Joliet. From that courthouse to the highway, they want that land. They don't care about the houses. They want the land. Look at how it's tore down. All those houses that were up and down Chicago Street, Ottawa Street, remember all of them? Those are gone. They're building a super highway system straight to the hub of Will County, which is the county building. this big massive thing that's sitting downtown Joliet that's going to house all of these county elected officials. So they have no utter respect for life as people. And how can you care about someone when you don't even care about your children? See, they sell their children to the churches so that the homosexual priests, they ain't even homosexuals, they're just predators. They're pedophiles. They want to sleep with little children. So that's what you have. Train your kids, and you were trained by them. So you just accept that you got to send your kids to these people to have these little boys attacked by these monsters. But we don't talk about that. So how can they care about black people when they don't even care about their own kids?
Correct.
We have to start prospering as people. Meaning, if you an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but you're not justified in murder if you have not been murdered. So you can't say I have the right to kill somebody because they killed me, because you wouldn't be here if you killed them. So it becomes a choice on whether or not you want to defend your property, defend your family, and defend your person. So it's always been there. I'm sorry for rambling on so long. If you have another question, I'll slow down.
No, we're fine. We're fine. So the lies that they told us was, that slavery had ended, but slavery hadn't ended. And what was some more lies that we were fed?
40 acres and a mule was a lie.
Okay.
And then when they say, oh, why do they want reparations? None of them were slaves. How weren't we slaves? Hello? Excuse me, sweetheart. Hello? Yeah, I'm sorry. How weren't we slaves? And when I'm telling you, we're still slaves. That European whites that have been here for 3 to 5 generations were given homesteads. Like you go out here to the west and pick some land and it becomes yours. That's reparations for coming here. That the reparations that should have went to the black slaves went to European whites that were being brought over here that had nothing to do with slaves and were being persecuted in Europe. So it's hard for them to even look at us who have been here since 1619. How many? 1619 to now. How many generations is that? Let me do the math.
Oh, that's a lot. A lot of.
That's over 30 generations. So who is the original people? Come on. So somebody that's been here for 4 or 5 generations, they're more American than we are. And our people have been here the whole time. They changed. Look, just because they changed history to make themselves look like the conquerors of the world and the people that did everything, and that we just lazy niggas, then there's nothing we can do to change it, because that's how they've always seen us, and that's just them showing us how we're still their slaves. When you can shut the world down and tell people to stay in their houses, isn't that what they just did?
Yes.
It's just a thing where I don't understand why people can't accept the truth. You know how we thought we were doing something when we started seeing all these black men making all of this money.
Yeah,
No,
and they tried to destroy them all too.
yeah,
All of them. They brought them down to nothing.
right. There you go. So that's your slaves. That's being a slave.
Yeah.
That
Soon
they
as they,
show
you
you.
know, the music industry got what they wanted from the entertainers, then
Right.
threw them to the wolves.
So to be
The
an
entertainment
entertainer,
business, they threw them to the wolves too.
they didn't throw them to the moon. We gave ourselves to them willingly. That's a slave. If you want success so bad that you will let another man sleep with you, or get put into a position where they want to see 4 or 5 big men, black men sleeping, fucking you, and filming it so they have something to hold over your head. That's what some of these superstars have been. Now, listen to Cat Williams tell you what he saw. These people aren't lying. They're telling you the truth. They're telling you our history. See, intelligence is what you choose to believe is intelligence. They always want to be portrayed as the smartest people in the world when their definition of intelligence has nothing to do with actual intelligence. Intelligence is based on knowing and being able to manipulate people to buy into things that you say. That's intelligence. That comes.
Right. Because we built this country and we invented most of everything.
Well,
They
of
stole
course,
the patents from us.
baby, they didn't steal the patents. You never had the patent
Right. You never had the patents.
because you were a property. So when if somebody owns you and you invent something, that means that what you invented because you're their property belongs to them because you're their property. That's just, I mean, come on, this is survival of the fittest. And they fear black men so much that they have to incarcerate us at a high rate because if we wake up and become powerful, they fear the nightmare that will come with an angry black man or a mob. See, they'll never call us a militia. There will always be thugs, dope dealers. They got all of these titles to put on us. But the one that sticks out the most is always niggas. You niggas better get in line. I'm not afraid to say anything. I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. I mean, that's not me making up history. I'm just pointing out our path. This is what we come
So, what are your thoughts on them removing
from.
all of these statues, the Confederate flags, all?
Why? 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 What difference does it make? I told you you're still owned by these people. Didn't I? I said, look, they still get paid. You pay taxes, right?
Absolutely.
You go to work, right?
Yes.
That money goes in that you pay into the federal tax system gets dispersed back to the slave owners. So you're paying the slave owner for your freedom or your illusion of freedom. That no one wants to admit the truth because the truth will expose the lie.
So, but because removing the statues, I mean,
Think about it. What did I tell you about Washington and Jefferson? They signed the, the civil rights. They signed correction. They signed the Declaration of Independence and they owned us. So I understand why you're saying why shouldn't they remove the statues of these traitors against their own land. They didn't trade against their own land. They were rebelling against their own land. That when I tell
Right.
you,
Well, yeah, but they weren't heroes, and they tried to make all of these people seem like they were heroes.
well,
And
the truth is in the eye of the person in charge. We know the truth. Are they going to take Washington's face off the dollar? Are they going to take Jefferson's face off the $20 bill? No. Are they going to go to Washington, D.C. and tear down the Washington Monument and the Jefferson's Monument? No. So understanding people's anger, tearing down these statues inflames white America because they have a sick and twisted past. So they always have to be led by a king. Because that's all they people know. They came from Europe. They always have been dominated by kings.
okay,
They constantly look for one of their own to step up and be the leader of their existence. That's not me being mean. That's me being factual. That makes sense? Can you hear me?
it makes sense.
That we won't prosper until we start realizing that you can't do right by these people. And I'm not talking about another poor white person that works next to you at a job for 20 years. They're made to feel hey, I'll call you back, dude.
Yeah.
No,
Another
yeah,
question I wanted to ask you is, what do you think about the situation with the mayor of Joliet?
he's a private citizen. He's a mayor, but he's not above the law. If I put my hands on somebody, what do I get? I get arrested, right? Assault and battery, if I hit my wife, hit a person, that's doing bodily harm to someone, right?
Correct. I mean, we would be arrested. You would
So,
be arrested.
right, so he should be arrested.
Right. I mean, he has not been arrested yet.
Because
Evidence is right there.
he's a part of the system. I told you laws aren't for them. Laws are for us. We have to fight for laws to be changed for us because these laws were written while we were in slavery. We were property, so he can walk around. Come on, do you really think that these cops are going into general population? No, they're going to these country clubs with white collar criminals that they have open campuses in federal penitentiaries that are just for the white collar criminal, nonviolent white collar criminal. That they get to walk out, go to the golf course, go if they have their family down there, they can go to the hotel, spend time with their woman. Is that jail? No, that's not jail.
No.
That's that's giving the illusion of jail. You understand? Why you think Epstein, who is a child predator, who sold children, got put in prison right next to his office, and all he had to do was go to work every day, which was his fuck factory for little kids, little girls.
Yeah, and after he was convicted.
That was the sentence that see so when I say rules aren't for them, they're for us. They give you the illusion that they'll arrest them. Arresting someone isn't a conviction. The officer that got convicted for Laquan McDonald? Do you really think he's in jail? Do you hear his wife screaming about how she can't take care of her kids because her husband don't have a job? They're taking care of him
Mm-hmm.
and his family. They move his family wherever he is. So he goes to home and lays in his own bed, comes back and gives the illusion that he's in a prison that don't have walls. Is it a prison if it don't have walls? Yes, it is. It's called America.
So yes, there are two different set of rules.
No, but they don't have rules.
They don't have rules. The rules apply to
So,
blacks
in my new,
or people of color.
right.
What's your? Give me your input on this video that was released last night of them murdering.
You saw how angry I got for 3 hours on Facebook. I let off on everyone because my anger was being pent in. My anger was not understanding how you could sit and look in my face after you killed a child. See, just because he was a grown man, he's my buddy's son. So I called, he said, Unc, every time he see me. What's up, Unc? I'm like, not much, nephew. Because he was my buddy's son. Not like blood relations, just
Right.
who we are as people. And we don't even know who our blood relations truly are because our identity was taken from us. So you could be sleeping with your distant cousin and not know it.
Correct.
That could be just a nut, man. Do you realize that during slavery that the size of a black family was like from 12 to 18 kids because you had to have all them farm hands. That's what these white people got their wealth from is their property. You know, livestock. We were called livestock also. Livestock wasn't farm animals, it was us and farm animals. That we don't want to accept the truth. That they released us and made us selfish. We don't want to do anything with black people. You can barely get a black person to even listen to you without calling you crazy, without yelling, please get off Facebook. I'm like, come on, I don't care.
Right. That's your right, and it's your opinions, and people should respect everybody's opinions and their viewpoints.
Right. But see, an opinion isn't a fact. All opinion is a person's observation of a situation. That's what an opinion is. So you observe something from your point of view or your direction. It's gonna be different for all the 10 people that are standing around that same situation looking at it from a different direction. They're gonna see something you didn't see because it was blocked from your vision because you were on the opposite side of what was being done. So stories change and narratives change. So they understand this. They calculate loss. That remember the whole climate change thing? That getting rid of 5 million people, doesn't that solve the population thing of smog and all that? Shutting the country down, doesn't that clean the environment? Slows down the green light effect.
Do you feel safe as a black man?
I don't feel scared. Safe when you get in a car and you gotta worry about being pulled over and dying. How safe am I? Is that a good answer? Did I answer your question?
So you don't feel safe because when you leave your house, You don't know if you're going to get pulled over by the police.
I know I'm not.
Okay.
How many times have your children come home and said, "Ma, I didn't do anything. They pulled me over." How many times have your nieces and nephews come home and said the same thing? Your brothers and sisters about how perfect they were being, but still were treated like a slave. That we keep thinking we have to solve their problem. We don't have to solve their problem. They have to solve their own hatred problem. We didn't do this. We didn't create this hellacious existence. They did. How is this? This is what they mean by making America great again. Do you realize that rules at work? They used to just be at work drinking liquor right there at their desk. Hey, I gotta go, sweetheart. I have a very important phone call. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to end this interview, and I thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts.
Hold on, Cornell. Yeah,
your thoughts and opinions. And I'm sorry for your loss. I mean, it's like you're reliving your his death over again with that video being released, and for 6 months. What this happened back in January, and I know the mayor knew about that video.
Everybody.
Then you still have the people on the city council. They didn't even want to sign for an investigation.
Hold on, Cornell. I really gotta take this phone call.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, Jerry.